Uh-huh. I know they're talking about you. And I know it's been getting to you. And I know that things are hard and times are tough. But you know what? I got good news for you. You're totally unstoppable. Ain't no mountain high enough, there ain't no valley low enough, there ain't no ocean wide enough to keep me from my dreams. I fully made up my mind to leave the past behind, seek until I find my destiny. Totally unstoppable. Totally unstoppable. Totally unstoppable. In the face of every obstacle, I'm moving ahead unstoppable, knowing nothing's impossible if only I believe. I'm reaching for the unreachable, feeling for the intangible, looking for the invisible, because I believe. Totally, I'm totally unstoppable. Totally unstoppable. Totally unstoppable. Let me tell you now, every obstacle presents an opportunity. Every rock I see a stepping stone. The only limitation is in my imagination. Doesn't matter what they say. Gonna do it anyway. There's no triumph without a triumph. Well, good people, God richly bless you, and welcome to tonight's presentation with me, your host, Bishop Wayne Malcolm, the Business Bishop, live and direct. I am always excited and delighted to be a part of your amazing life and legacy through this ministry. And I want to congratulate and celebrate each and every one of you that has prioritized your destiny and chosen to be a part of tonight's session. Right now would be a good time for you to share this stream with your family, your friends, and your networks, and encourage them to come on in to this place of empowerment. Let them know that Bishop Wayne Malcolm is streaming live and that there is an exciting subject on the agenda for tonight. Tonight's presentation is an outreach of the iGlobal network, which is our coaching community. And tonight I'll be drawing from my stream as a professional life, performance, and business coach, which is a space that I've been in for several decades now. And it is a space that has yielded measurable results for the members of our community. The community is made up of Christian entrepreneurs, professionals, and influencers alike who are taking their personal development seriously and are looking forward to life beyond COVID-19. We are using this season of lockdown, of quarantine, of sheltering. We're using that season to build and develop our capacity to lead, to influence, and to impact industries and institutions, and to make the difference that we were born to make. Of course, Jesus called us to be salt and light in the world, and this is our absolute intention. So tonight is about giving you a window, a sneak preview into the world of professional coaching and into our coaching community. Our coaching community meets every Tuesday evening, and every Tuesday evening we explore these subjects in tremendous detail. If you'd like to know how you can become part of our coaching community, then do contact us using the contact details that we'll give you at the end of the presentation. Tonight we are looking at solving problems, the art and science of problem solving. And we've simply entitled it Solve That Problem. Whatever the problem is that you are facing right now, whatever you're dealing with right now, my challenge to you is to go ahead and solve it. You are inherently and innately a problem solver because God created you with limitless capacities to solve problems and an insatiable appetite to move beyond where you are and to where you dream to be. So we're going to tap into our creative capacities, and I'm going to try to deliver the beginnings of a formula and a strategy for solving problems. So let me start by reading this introduction here, in which I say that attitude determines altitude. Anyone dreaming of a problem-free life is actually having a nightmare. Wow, that's worth reading again. Anyone dreaming of a problem-free life is actually having a nightmare. This is because problems are both necessary for personal growth and for professional success. It simply means that we do not grow personally without problems, and we do not succeed professionally without problems. And so anyone dreaming of a problem-free life is actually having a nightmare, and hopefully you'll wake up soon. Your value in the marketplace is determined by the size and scope of the problems you solve. Without problems, there is no business and ultimately no life. Your attitude towards problems may prove a bigger problem than the problem itself. So join me, Bishop Wayne Malcolm, for coaching sessions on the art and science of problem solving. So let's go tonight. Let's start with some food for thought. Your attitude towards problems may prove a bigger problem than the problem itself. Wow, that's an important idea. It's an important concept because it means that when faced with a problem or a dilemma, or a stumbling block, or an obstacle, or a prohibition to your progress, what may be an even bigger challenge than the problem itself is the attitude you have towards problems, because that attitude can absolutely create turmoil in your soul, in your psyche, in your emotions, in your thought life, in your language, in the way that you behave with yourself and with others. And it may prove to be a bigger problem than the problem itself. Very important when we confront problems that we find a way to detach emotionally, to detach so that we can ascend intellectually above the problem and begin to put it in perspective and see it for what it really is. Because when you see it for what it really is, you may also see a way to solve it. You may see that it's not as big a problem as met the eye. So our emotional response, our linguistic response, and our intellectual response to problems may prove to be a bigger problem than the problem itself, which is why when it comes to problem solving, your first port of call is to calm the storm that is trying to rage in your mind. It is to calm the feelings, the imaginations, the scenarios that are invading your inner world. It is to calm that, to still that, so that you can ascend intellectually above the problem and begin to deal with it rationally and begin to apply some logic and some formula to it so you can quickly get by it or move it out of the way or diminish its ability to impact on your progress. So this requires a healthy attitude towards problems. And what I'm going to try to deliver in the next few minutes is a healthy way of viewing problems. And this is not simply, my idea. It is really the summary of the things that I have gleaned from outstanding achievers over the years. People who go on to achieve outstanding results in their particular field, whether it's athletic, whether it is professional, whether it's their business, whether it's their personal life, they all seem to have a very healthy attitude towards problems. And that attitude can be summarized in these three statements. Number one, that problems are inevitable. Problems are inevitable. So anyone that embarks on a task or embarks on a goal, on a project, assuming that nothing can go wrong, nothing will go wrong, there'll be no setback, there'll be no disappointment, there'll be no frustration, there'll be no obstacles. No one will attempt to sabotage this. Nothing can go wrong. These people are typically ill-equipped to deal with a problem when it arises. The people who are best equipped to deal with a problem are the people who operate by Murphy's Law. Murphy's Law says that anything that can go wrong probably will go wrong. And of all the things that could go wrong, the worst thing will probably go wrong at the worst possible time. Now, that's not negativity. What that is pragmatic planning, because those same people go on to create contingencies for inevitabilities. They realize that this could happen, so therefore we're going to put this in place. That could happen, so therefore we're going to put this in place. But people who anticipate problems are best equipped to deal with them. So the first thing to realize is that you are not going to achieve any worthy goal without facing problems, obstacles, setbacks, disappointments, frustrations. It's simply not going to happen, so you must factor this into your planning. There is no such thing as a problem-free life. From the cradle to the grave, life will present you with problems to solve. Watch this now. They are gifts of power wrapped in the complexity of a problem. Wow. See, life is going to bless you with gifts of power, but those gifts of power always come securely wrapped in a complexity, or in the complexity of a problem, which means that if you can solve the problem, you can get to the power. Simply realizing that this is inevitable is going to give you an advantage when it comes to moving forward. You're less likely to throw up your hands and quit. You're less likely to throw in the towel. You're less likely to become frustrated beyond description, because you've anticipated that actually going to achieve this goal and there will be problems along the way. Number two, problems are essential. This means that we grow our physical, spiritual, and psychological muscles by the cycle of resistance and recovery. Now, most people understand this when it comes to bodybuilding. They understand that in order to build a muscle, you have to put it under strain. It has to experience resistance, even to the point of failure, and then it must be allowed to recover. And nutrition are part of the recovery, and rest are part of the recovery. But that our physical muscles grow through the cycle of resistance and recovery. What many people don't go on to realize is that we psychologically grow in exactly the same way. Our psychological muscles always grow through the cycle of resistance and recovery. Now, we can best see this at school. When we send children to school, we're sending them into an atmosphere and into an environment where they will be presented with a series of problems. Those problems are typically intellectual problems that they have to solve. Could be a mathematical problem, could be a language problem, but they are presented with problems, and they are challenged to think and to concentrate and to use their experience and knowledge in order to reach conclusions and to solve those problems. And by that process of resistance and recovery, our psychological muscles grow. The same is true of our spiritual muscles. Show me a strong Christian, and I'll show you a person who has endured hardship, difficulty, frustration, setback, disappointment, rejection, betrayal, abandonment. When people survive those resistances or those strains, they come back much stronger. So without resistance, we'll become weak and ultimately incapable of dealing with anything. Number 3, problems are helpful. Yes, they are. Problems present opportunities for those who can solve them. Actually, value in the marketplace is determined by the size and the scope of the problems you solve. Actually, the marketplace is a marketplace of solutions, and it is dominated by the great problem solvers. So, everything you can see that was made by a human being was made to solve a problem for someone else. The computer that I'm using for broadcasting and the equipment I'm using for broadcasting were all created to solve specific problems. And so without the problems, there wouldn't be a marketplace. Without the problems, there wouldn't be an opportunity to create value. So problems are helpful because they present opportunities for those who can solve them. Somebody needs to be screaming in the chat box right now, and I want you to use the chat box as if as a virtual form of your own voice, just resonating with what you're hearing, celebrating what you're hearing, complimenting what you're hearing, or even challenging what you're hearing. Whatever it is, just go ahead and use that chat box. So I want to look at the fact that there are 4 types of problems. When I think of problems, I put them into 4 categories, one of 4 categories, and here are the categories. So first of all, there is a present problem. A present problem. And I think of a present problem as a material obstacle in the way. It's preventing or blocking your progress towards a meaningful goal. In other words, it's there, it's happening, it's being said, it's being done, it's being signed, it's missing, we don't have it, or whatever it is, it's actually a material obstacle that is in your way. It is preventing you from making progress. It is blocking your path. And in this sense, it commands and demands immediate attention because we can't move forward until we have solved this. That is a present problem. They are very real. They are inevitable. They are going to happen if they're not already happening for you now. And whatever the goal, whatever your aspiration, it could be a physical one, a health and fitness related aspiration. You're going to set out on the task and you're going to be presented with a problem. It's an actual present problem. Now that could be a strained muscle. It could be that the lockdown has completely disrupted your routine. It could be that other emergencies mean that you're going to miss your gym time for the next 2 days. These are present, they are real, they are material obstacles in your way. But the second type of a problem is a potential problem. A potential problem. And this is an issue that will become a problem if left undone or unaddressed. It's not blocking you now, but it will if you fail to act. And I think all of us are familiar with what potential problems feel like. They're just looming over your imagination. They are haunting you somewhat, and they are present in your subconscious and even your conscious mind, that actually if this is not addressed, it's going to become a problem. Now, what some people do with their potential problems is they bury their head in the sand like the proverbial ostrich, and they conclude that if I can't see it, then it's not happening. But the truth is that a potential problem needs to be addressed, otherwise it will become a present problem, and you can prevent it becoming a present problem by addressing it now. In this respect, prevention is better than cure. When it comes to a present problem, you have to cure it, but with a potential problem, you prevent it. Number 3 is the perceived problem. This looks like a problem, okay? It looks like a problem, but when examined, it is not a problem at all. So a lot of the things that we're calling problems are simply our perception of a situation, held to scrutiny, interrogated, investigated, examined. It is not a problem at all. It's not in your way. it's not going to hinder you. It's not even a potential problem. It just looks like a problem. And so that's an important distinction to make. And finally, the fourth one is very similar to the third, is a presumed problem. These are assumptions about the meaning of things. Assumptions about the meaning of things. Okay, so-and-so called to say that they can't make it anymore. So what's happening now is you're presuming that that's a problem. And this starts this chain of emotional and psychological reaction of inflated imagination and scenarios that are wild. And when you get to the root of it, the reason the person couldn't make it is pretty valid, and it's not going to impact on whatever you were all about to do. And so it's assumptions about the meaning of things. Under scrutiny, they may be a blessing and a good thing overall. So I'll give you an example. When I first started building mailing lists in the early days, as an info merchant, as an information marketer, I would be building my mailing list because that's the important thing to do. And then I discovered that I looked at the report and I saw that a few people had opted out of my mailing list. And this I presumed to be a problem. I said, oh my gosh, I'm doing something wrong. I'm not communicating enough. Maybe I was a little aggressive with an offer. Why are people leaving? And this was a presumed problem until, as I went on and listened to my mentors and coaches, I realized that actually people leaving your mailing list is a blessing, because what they're telling you is, look, I was interested in something you were doing, but I'm not interested anymore, so I don't want you wasting your time or mine trying to get me to see something. So I begin to be thankful instead of being anxious, because these problems were presumed. Under scrutiny, they were actually a blessing in disguise. So I want to, in the minutes we have left, I want to look at your attitude. Because I think that your attitude is going to determine your altitude. So how high you go in life or in business or in ministry is going to reflect your overall attitude. And when it comes to solving problems, what I found is that you have to generate a resourceful state. You have to be in a state of mind and in a frame that allows your creativity to flow. And I've discovered that fear and panic and anxiety and worry are not resourceful states. They do not lead to creativity. They actually lead to irrational behavior. The phone call you regret that you made, the letter you regret that you wrote, the response that you are apologizing for forever, typically came out of the unresourceful state of fear and panic and doubt and confusion. And so you want to lift yourself out of that state so that you can begin to solve the problem creatively. So here's what we've said here. The first key is to generate a resourceful state that is a positive mental attitude. And you do that by reframing the problem. That's a really, really important term. Reframing the problem. It's very important when you face a problem, you realize, look, we have a problem here, that you immediately reframe it so as to lift yourself out of the negativity of the emotion and the attachment to it, so that you can begin to apply intelligence and creativity from a positive place, even what we call a positive mental attitude. So that's the first key. It's to generate a resourceful state. Get yourself in a state where your creative juices can flow. Get yourself in a state where ideas are abundant. Get yourself in a state where you are optimistic even in the face of the problem. And you have convinced yourself that we will overcome this. We will turn this around. This will not stop us. This will not block us. We are going to move forward. And getting yourself into that state is giving yourself a psychological advantage over the enemy, which is the situation at hand. And we know this in the art of war, that that often victory belongs to the side that has a psychological advantage, and this is why propaganda is a part of war. This is why gladiators and wrestlers and boxers will seek to intimidate the opponent before going into the ring, because they realize that the psychological advantage turns out to be a very real physical advantage in the battle. And when it comes to your battle with a problem, your psychological advantage is to reframe the problem and to get yourself into a highly resourceful state. So what I found is that there are two kinds of a frame with which we frame our problems. And your frame is really your attitude towards the problem, and it is the context in which you view the problem, and it's the language you use to describe the problem, and it's your general thinking around the problem. And there tends to be two types of frames. The first is the problem frame. And this is where your thoughts, your words, and your deeds are dominated by the problem. So when you find that your thinking, your imagination, your movies that are being made in your mind, your scenarios, your words, your language, and your behavior is being dominated by this problem, you are simply in the wrong frame. And you need to get out of that frame, and you need to get into an outcome frame. So this is where your thoughts, your words, and your deeds are focused on a solution. Your thoughts, your words, and your deeds are focused on a solution. And this is the frame that is going to allow your creative energy and juices to flow. This is the frame that is going to flood your mind with an abundance of ideas. This is the frame that is going to fuel you with optimism and even enthusiasm about the future. So you want to get out of this frame. It's negative, it's dragging you down, it's causing you to see these impossibilities and to envisage defeat, when you need to get into another frame that allows you to envisage victory and to believe that even though I don't know how right now, I'm going to find a way. So how exactly do you move? So watch this carefully. This is an important nugget. Now, obviously, in the main coaching class, in our coaching community, we're going to deliver a step-by-step formula for moving the frame and attacking the situation, arresting the situation, moving beyond the situation, solving problems, using creativity and innovation. We're going to go into that in a lot of detail, but I'm just going to give one nugget tonight. The nugget is this: you move from the problem frame to the outcome frame by converting your problem into a goal. Woo! You convert your problem into a goal. What does that mean? It means that, the problem is, but what I want is. So this is the shift of getting you out of the problem frame and into the outcome frame, is that you have to convert the problem into a goal. Remember that the problem is an inverse goal. It's the opposite of what you want. So you can look at the problem for what it is, or you can look at it as an indicator of what you actually want. So the problem is, well, it's people, it's someone, it's a place, it's an environment, it's a thing, it's the lack of something. Most people are much clearer about their problems than they are about their goals. A problem is an inverse goal and can be reworded in terms of the outcome you desire. If you are clearer about what you are going through than where you are going to, you will never find the outcome frame where problems are solved. So it's one thing to say, okay, we've run out of money, we don't have enough money to pay for the next stage. That's the problem frame. So to move to the outcome frame is to reword this to say, we need X amount more money so we can complete the next stage. Now, what have you done? You've shifted psychologically from focusing on what you don't have to focusing on what you want to have, and therefore your creative energy is going in that direction. Where is your creative energy going when you say, look, we've run out of money and so we can't complete the next stage? Your creative energy is going down. When you change that exact same situation into this, we need X amount of money in order to complete the next stage. What you've done is you've shifted into creativity, because the next obvious question is, how can we raise that amount of money so that we can finish the next stage? So shifting from what the problem is to what it is you want is a way of lifting yourself out of the problem frame, the negative mental attitude, and into a more positive, resourceful attitude. What I actually want is, it could be someone, it could be a place, it could be a thing, it could be a resource, it could be some help. What do you really want? How do you want it to turn out? What would constitute a win? Clarity about what you want will put your mind in an outcome frame. This will stimulate your innate creativity and begin formulating options and solutions. So this is really, really, really important, and it's a major key when it comes to problem solving, is to convert the problem into a goal. Now, of course, on Tuesday night, our coaching community is going to meet on a different sort of a platform where we will literally begin to break down the art and science of problem solving. And of course, we're going to look at how we can move from the problem frame to the outcome frame. But then we're going to look at very specific techniques on exactly how we can address the vast majority of problems that we experience in our pursuit of purpose or on our journey of success. We would like for you to become a part of our coaching community, and you can do so by calling the number on your screen or visiting our website to find out more. You call the number on your screen and we will call you back and talk you through what it involves, how you can get involved, how you can become part of our coaching community. And I'm going to leave you with a little video on our coaching community, its aims and objectives. So here goes.
The scriptures teach that in the last days, perilous times will come. The truth is that those perilous times are here. The world is in transition and is changing rapidly thanks to a cosmic and corporate battle for control of both people and resources. The good news is that God always has a plan for perilous times, and that plan typically involves the sudden promotion of individuals to key positions of power and influence. This was the case for Joseph in Egypt, Esther in Persia, and Daniel in Babylon. This video is a call out for believers everywhere to begin making swift and serious preparations for a supernatural wave of sudden promotions to key positions of marketplace leadership. God is targeting the marketplace as the last mission field and final frontier for believers worldwide. The hope of the world is that a new breed of believers will set their sights on a role in government, business, finance, arts, culture, and education. The plan is that the new breed will populate and dominate the marketplace. To this end, the iGlobal network was established by Bishop Wayne Malcolm, otherwise known as the Business Bishop, in response to a revelation of God's intention for this generation. The iGlobal network is a global community of Christian entrepreneurs, professionals, and influencers alike who are serious about personal growth and professional success. Now, we are a global movement for self-improvement that offers one-stop personal development for people of faith. Our unique brand of faith-based success education exists to establish a credible Christian presence within the key industries and institutions that shape our societies. You can join the network today as a member or as a partner in the mission and begin benefiting from our unique coaching solutions, our growing range of learning resources, our training events, and pastoral support, which is available to all members. For more information or to join us now, ask the person who sent you this video. A world of strategic relationships, learning resources, training events, and pastoral support awaits you. Your growth will be visible and your impact undeniable with the iGlobal Network.
I know they're talking about you. And I know it's been getting to you. And I know that things are hard and times are tough. But you know what? I got good news for you. You're totally unstoppable. Ain't no mountain high enough, there ain't no valley low enough, there ain't no ocean wide enough to keep me from my dreams. I fully made up my mind to leave the past behind, seek until I find my destiny. Totally unstoppable. Totally unstoppable. Unstoppable. In the face of every obstacle, I'm moving ahead unstoppable, knowing nothing's impossible if only I believe. I'm reaching for the unreachable, feeling for the intangible, looking for the invisible, because I believe. I'm totally unstoppable. Totally unstoppable. Totally unstoppable. Let me tell you now, every obstacle presents an opportunity. Every rock I see a stepping stone. The only limitation is in my imagination. Doesn't matter what they say, gonna do it anyway. There's no triumph without a trial, no gain without the pain, no glory without a story, no might without the fight, no victory without a victim, no message without a mess, no testimony without the testing. So step out.